Oh no. There it is. Logan Paul back at it again. So, for anybody that doesn't know or hasn't kept up on this, the Logan Paul NFT scam CryptoZoo, where they basically scammed a bunch of people out a lot of money with, as is most NFTs, right? And in exchange, you got a egg that hatched. Yeah, it's that one that where Logan Paul basically said, "Yeah, I'm making a game. I'm making a game, and it's a really fun game that you can make money at." Sounds too good to be true? Yeah, probably is. But basically, Coffeezilla said he was going to follow up and make sure that those people get paid the promised amounts after Logan Paul had a mental breakdown, and then thanked him for giving him that mental breakdown to come to Jesus or whatever. Let's see what
Months
happened.
ago, I investigated CryptoZoo, a scam created by Logan Paul and a team of criminals, and a dude named Jeff, which ultimately resulted in millions of dollars being stolen from fans. I was threatened with a lawsuit for exposing it, but ultimately, Logan Paul decided to thank me instead for his public undressing and announced a $1.8 million refund to the
that's the
victims.
refund.
Now, I thought that would...
That's okay. That I believe was only like 10%, 10 to 15% of the actual funds that got wrecked in this whole thing, but it was at least something, and we'll see if
a
it
great
got back.
ending to the story. But I also said this: I'll follow up in the future to make sure that he actually gives that money away.
My guy put him on the Outlook calendar. Oh no.
And that's why we're here today. It's been 6 months, so here's a follow-up. Logan Paul has not paid back his victims. He hasn't talked about it since he first announced he was going to pay them back. And what's worst of all, he doesn't seem to have a plan in place to refund anyone. How do I know that? Well, because I've been asking Logan for...
He's not gonna pay those people back. Come on, man. He's not gonna give that money to people.
for that plan to refund people the entire time behind the scenes in messages like these. Quote, "Hey Logan, following up on the zoo refunds, when should people expect those? It's been about a month." And then a month later...
How stupid do you have to be to buy $ zoo coin? Are you... I don't even know. It's so hard
Following
for me
up
with
again,
this stuff.
people are wondering what's going on.
you have to
Almost
be
been 2 months.
so dumb.
Very frustrating for victims to get promises and then see nothing and get zero communication.
What do you mean? That's actually what NFT bros are used to, getting made promises and then have zero communication and then get robbed. So if anything, this is more like a euphoric experience for them. It feels good.
And then later, "Hey Logan, following up for a third time, it's been over 5 months since you promised to refund the victims of CryptoZoo over $3 million. I meant to say $1.8 million there. The price of crypto changed a lot, so what this buyback was going to be was constantly changing. I just misspoke there. Either way, my point was this, quote, "You haven't contacted any of them, nor explained why you haven't..."
Oh yeah, because it wasn't $1.8 million. It was $1.8 million in the or it was like 1.8 in the value of whatever the token was at the time, right? Something
done
like that.
what you said you'd do. Meanwhile, you got public credit for promising to do this. And all of this, Logan didn't respond to, which is odd since he was such a fan of me reaching out to him personally. You know, instead of making things public.
Maybe we could have talked about this if you had reached out to me, personally. Not my manager, Jeff, who is not me, Steven.
Well, I did reach out to you, and I got no response. In fact, the only response I got came on my 4th attempt to reach Logan, but this one came from his criminal defense lawyers. A guy named Jeffrey Neal.
Coffee keeps getting these fucking... Let me see. Steven, see inserted on behalf of Logan Paul. I hope this guy's not... I hope this defense attorney is making the minimum. Oh, no.
Emailed me after my 4th attempt saying, "Steven, see inserted on behalf of Logan Paul." Now, to be honest, I had no idea who Logan Paul was until I researched the...
Yeah. Typing mistakes happen for sure, but if I'm making, $500 plus an hour, I'm going to get the client's name right at the very least.
lawyer and learned that he, quote, "regularly defends individuals and corporations in white-collar criminal litigations." And that's when I realized, oh, that Logan Paul. Why didn't you just say you defended alleged white-collar criminals? Would have saved me a Google search. So I opened up the letter and it read, "We represent Logan Paul. Mr. Paul has informed us of your outreach about the status of the CryptoZoo buybacks. Mr. Paul remains committed to this process. We are working with Mr. Paul to evaluate the best way to achieve this goal. In the meantime, please direct to our attention any further inquiries to Mr. Paul. Thank you for your patience and..."
That's a weird response coming from somebody that was thankful that they gave him a come to Jesus moment and realized that they should help the community that built them and gave the money. So instead, hey, stop calling me, please. That's what this is. Please. Please. I'm trying to forget this.
Understanding. Now, that might seem like a good step in the right
It's
direction.
premium comedy.
We got a response on behalf of Logan. But when I read their response carefully, I realized things were actually worse than I thought. Because two things are absent from this statement. One, a timeline for refunds, and two, a plan for refunds. I mean, you have this
Well, the answer is to number one, the timeline is 1 month to 99 years, and the plan is to let it fade out of existence and make another NFT scam to pay back the 1.8 million on the previous NFT scam. So it's like a constant overarching money circle.
abominable statement which says, "We are working with Mr. Paul to evaluate the best way to achieve this goal." So you're still at the whiteboard then. Guys, this is a statement you say when you have no plan or you're stalling, right? You say, "We're evaluating the best options." I mean, that's where Logan was back in January. He was evaluating. Am I supposed to...
Here's the thing. I know they have to do this legally, but I hate those clinical responses that are just like, they feel tone deaf, and that's intentionally what they're going for, but it feels bad to read and absorb. It's like, kind of like, you're a cunt. Like, I kind of hate you.
You know? 6 months later, you guys haven't figured this out. You've gathered all the boys in the office, brainstorming every single day. How do we refund people? And you don't know?
I love that the Prime drink branding placement. Oh my God.
I mean, listen.
That shit probably tastes like goat piss.
He had more of a plan, Logan did, back in January. I'm not even sure what there is to even still figure out, because way back then, January 16th, he said, "I've committed more than 1.8 million. For those who do not want to wait for CryptoZoo to be completed, players will be able to burn their base eggs and base animals for their mint price." I mean, there it is. That's the plan. Pay a blockchain dev to code that up and pay the victims their money. That's it. But we see absolutely no sign of that. And it's not for a lack of Logan having the cash. He's on a world tour for Prime right now, bragging about how much money his drink company is making.
In January of this year, we did 45 million.
Oh, wow. Only in January?
Yeah.
Literally, it could be such a big W for him to just do this payout for Logan. It's not even the full value. He still made money off of CryptoZoo. Scamming people, he'll get away with it and make the community happy by just giving the money. With the multi-millions that he has, but his own ego won't let him do that. And that's what's wrong with this world. Is we have a bunch of turds like him.
Yeah.
Wow, 45 million is a good month. Also, January happens to be the same month Logan promised those CryptoZoo refunds. So there's no good explanation for why Logan hasn't refunded his victims yet, because he had a plan back in January, he had the money, but there's even less of a good explanation for why he hasn't explained himself for the delay to either me privately or to the victims publicly, who are just waiting around for months with no word about the status of their promise.
Just lost souls crying in the dark of Discord. Oh God, it's so depressing.
Refund.
Please!
Now, eventually, I do believe Logan will address this. I think he has to. And when he does, I think he'll probably point to a lawsuit that he's in for the reason he couldn't speak. He had to be silent.
There's
Only
always a
he's
reason.
tried this before, and it didn't make a lot of sense then either.
I had to rely on my team. I crumbled internally, and the advice was, while actual legal process was going on because of criminal investigation taking place that Coffeezilla highlighted in his series, I had to stay silent. And for a year, I'm hounding Jeff. How do we make this right?
All right, let's get this straight.
Yeah, so you know what? I can, there's, God, I mean, I feel like there's some truth to this. We can look at like past cases. Obviously, the most recent one being Colleen Ballinger, where the team recommended she not speak at all. And that's actually the best course of action for a lot of these things. And no cap, for sure. That is 100% what you should do. Be silent. Obviously, the community is going to get pissed, but you're protected, and you're going to keep as much of the money as possible. So it's most advantageous for you as the person, because if he starts addressing things, why there's a delay, things can get misconstrued and brew more hate and put more eyes towards the actual issue itself, when the whole point is to forget about it. That's the number one defense tactic in America, is try your best to make people forget.
Logan was dying to make CryptoZoo right the first time, but was legally required to be silent until a YouTuber talked about it? Mm-hmm. Did the judge magically unseal his lips when my video dropped? I'm confused. He's not prevented from explaining himself.
No, I think that was he's not legally required to be quiet. It's just good advice. So when Coffeezilla came at him, Coffeezilla basically stabbed through his ego, and the inner soft, fleshy portions of Logan's soft emotions was exposed to the world. And so he had to cover it up, try to ego all over Coffeezilla, and it didn't work out. Now all this stuff's out there, and it's compounded into this issue.
And he's certainly not legally prevented from giving people their money back.
True.
Even if you want to argue the point that maybe Logan might look more guilty if he promises to pay victims. Well, sure, but he already did that, though. He said he felt so bad that he was going to refund $1.8 million to the affected people who invested. But actually delivering that promise doesn't add any layer of admission to that guilt. He already said he was responsible. At this point, refunding people is just doing what he said he was going to do from the beginning. Mm-hmm. No, I think the real reason Logan hasn't paid, if I had to guess, is just because either he does not want to pay, he cannot be bothered to pay on time, or he's just stalling. All of which are unacceptable. Because
True. He could pay it tomorrow and it wouldn't affect him at all. And it would just make a lot of people happy. But he's egoing the shit out of this just to show that he can do it, address it, and get away with it. He wants to do it so bad.
Let me remind you of his promise. Quote, I have committed more than $1.8 million for those who do not want to wait for CryptoZoo to be completed. That is what he said, and the people are tired of waiting, including me. After months of trying to work behind the scenes.
He's tired of hitting, he has on the Outlook calendar, you can set a reoccurring meeting. Every 14th, he's dropping that meeting. He's just tired of having that pop up on his meeting list to follow up on.
And ask questions behind the scenes privately to him. I'm just out of ideas, and I'm stuck trying to speak to Logan in the only language I believe he understands. Self-interest. Logan, if I could speak to you for a second. Okay, bring in the camera. This isn't worth your time. Getting publicly flogged like this every 6 months? What are we gonna be?
Why does Papozilla have to come out and spank your ass every 6 months, Logan? Come on, baby. Don't you want that ass to have a rest? Come on,
doing
boy.
This in a year? No. Okay? It's not worth your time. It's barely worth my time.
Boom!
Just please pay the people back what you owe. Give them.
Bro, I'm in debt. I'm in an active bankruptcy, and it's barely worth my time. Holy.
A real timeline, a real plan, and then we can all go back to pretending you've changed.
True. Very good video.
I'm.
Oh, he's never gonna pay. I can't wait.